Really cool stuff, sensors. They're pretty in right now. I would say they're in the in discussion right now in digital health, and it's really for a good reason. We were talking later that it's just, you know, some of us didn't even think we had a sensor, and we actually probably are all, you know, we're all carrying them. So we've compiled a brain trust of people for this next session that will really spell out the challenges and endless possibilities in this space. And we're just finding sensors integrated into everything and anything, including like our pills and I'm sure our food someday. So I want to introduce Steve Kovsky. He is the senior manager of digital content for Websense, who's going to be leading this discussion. So, a little fun fact: Steve's first ride was the first ride of Steve's short-lived rodeo career. I gotta see that. Was chronicled with a front-page color photograph in the following day's edition of the local Palo Alto, California newspaper. The shot of the rider being spectacularly thrown from the back of a 2,500-pound longhorn bull named G.E. bore the caption, "Not Steve Kovsky's best day." Let's hope today is.
Thank you. Hi, thanks everybody. Now that you know that fact about me, I have to kill everyone in this room because it's not something I normally share. I'm very pleased to have this distinguished panel today. I thought I would tell you just briefly why I was very interested in doing this panel. I've been a technology journalist for over 20 years now, and so I have seen a lot of technologies come and go, and during that time I was mostly interested in computers, you know, pure computer technology, not really medical science, until my son, who was 7 years old at the time, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and became insulin dependent. And so suddenly we were immersed into that world and became very, very interested in how one tracks one's blood sugars. And so through the years, he's now an 18-year-old undergraduate at San Luis Obispo and doing very well. But he's been self-injecting since he was 7.5 years old and pricking his fingers for blood sugars. Now he wears a continuous glucose monitor. I think he just changed brands. It was a company that's here in San Diego. I'm not sure if the new one is. But it gives him a tremendously greater control over his body chemistry and is going to allow him to live a longer, healthier life as a result. So many of us, what are sometimes referred to as helicopter parents, who not only want to monitor everything their kids do online, but we also want to see what's pumping through their veins at every moment of the day. But we've been waiting for the insulin pumps to communicate in a closed loop with the continuous glucose monitor, creating essentially an artificial pancreas. And these exist, and I don't think they're yet commercially available, but I'm here to be amazed. Many of you are probably, and certainly the people on the panel are better informed than I am about what's currently available. The other sensor technology that became very, very dear and interesting to me, that occurred about 3 years ago when I was diagnosed with 100% occlusion of my lower anterior descending artery, or the widowmaker in my heart. And so a stent was put in, and I became very, very interested in what my heart rate was doing from moment to moment, especially when I exercised, which was part of my doctor prescribed regimen for recovery. So I think that I'm not alone in having these kinds of stories. Probably many people in this room have similar types of stories, and if we go out into the rest of the hotel, we'd find that people are using sensors for all kinds of things in all kinds of ways. Often they involve life changes, and it's a very exciting thing both in the consumer market and in the professional market. So enough about me, but hopefully you're as interested in this group of panelists as I am. And with that, I would like to invite each of them to say a few moments about themselves and about their company, kind of put it in perspective, and then we'll kick into the discussion for today. So we would like to start with Chris Robbins. Yeah.
Good. Is it morning or afternoon? Oh, it's right on the dot, almost square up noon. I'm Chris Robbins. I'm the CEO of BodyMedia. soon to be acquired by Jawbone. We are a late-stage venture-backed company, 14 years old, that has been in this wearable sensor space longer than we've been putting cell phones in our pockets, frankly. And we're just recently acquired by Jawbone to create a really exciting portfolio and experience for people. But what BodyMedia is about at its core is really three things. Number one, using a multi-sensor approach to extracting physiological and motion-based data off the body. So hold that note for a minute. Second, we have a really powerful analytics engine because we believe, and we were founded by a gentleman with a PhD in machine learning and artificial intelligence that now actually runs Google X, that it's not about the data, it's about what you can learn and how you can affect behavior change with that data. And so the foundation of the company and the heart of the company is actually our intelligence engine. And then we use that data and we port it into a visible form. So for today, we have web and mobile and tablet-based software. So three parts to the company. We've commercialized, for the most part, our largest piece of commercialization is taking those three assets and turning it into a tool, a solution that people can use to fight obesity and weight management. So you find us in physicians' offices, health plans, direct-to-consumer, and we also partner with the likes of NBC and The Biggest Loser and have incredible success over the last 6 or 7 years bringing a medical-grade product to that market. We have on a smaller scale, and this is what excites me about our merger with Jawbone, is being able to take the intelligence, the physiological data that we've gathered, and we've played with what we can do with this data and our analytics engine to help type 2 diabetics better manage their lifestyle. We can provide analytics and intelligence around those glucometer readings that you can't get if you've got longitudinal data like we provide off the body versus just point-in-time data. We can help interpret that and bring new insights to that. We have small-scale work been done in fibromyalgia and pain management, even emergency rooms and some work with Virginia Commonwealth. So a lot of applications for this physiological sensor data and what intelligence and market applications in healthcare you can get with it. So that's a little bit about BodyMedia, and we're really excited about where the space is going, the foundation that we have and the experience that we have. So I'm excited to be here with these other gentlemen and kind of share with you our challenges and our success stories around sensors.
Okay, fantastic. I am next going to ask Aidan if you would give us a little bit about Ximedica. Ximedica, pardon me.
Okay, thank you. No problem. So very briefly, Ximedica is a product development company. And we are somewhat unique in that for various reasons that sometimes I think were a great idea and sometimes I don't. We went ahead and focused solely on the medical field and went as far as FDA registering for not just product development but also contract manufacturing. So our position in the market is that we can help our clients get all the way through to having a clinical trial, getting through the FDA, and to launch. And the sort of words that we collect on sensors, our position essentially takes us to a place where we see an awful lot of different types of sensor technologies. And in this case, they go from the most simple to the most extreme in the sorts of application. And I added here that there is a shift that we're seeing. An awful lot of the work we do is stuck to you, and whether it's held to you physically or else it uses an adhesive. There are a lot of challenges with that, and we're now beginning to work with companies that are using visual sensoring as part of that process. So rather than having the sophistication at which the vital signs and indications can be extrapolated through visual technology is becoming very sophisticated. And the other one I put in there, which is a bit more mysterious, is environmental monitoring and connecting that to your health. And we're beginning to see some very interesting applications there. And on the right-hand side, I put in, we are trying, because we work both on the wellness side and then we'll also go up to class 3 devices, we're trying to get a sense of how the level of rigor that sensors need. And then oftentimes the same sensor can be used in a whole bunch of different ways. And the way that you approach the, that market and that device with regards to the FDA, or whether you can get, work outside of the FDA, is critical to the amount of money, the amount of time, and so forth that it will take. So these were categories that we're using, which essentially are getting more extreme in terms of how we view particular sensor categories and who's interpreting the data, to what end, what claims are going to be made in that data. And at the lower end, you've got things that they have to work 100% of the time. They have to be very, very finite in how they behave, because the sensor is making a whole series of medical decisions all on their own, whereas at the top end, the thermometer is essentially an interpretive sensor. The technology platform, I think, is moving right now from being what can sensors do to what they should do. And so the focus has come round onto what we call human-centered design, which is really going out and establishing the purpose, the business model, the criticality, and so forth. And I just put these in as characteristics that, as we are looking at particularly early stage companies, these are the sorts of questions that we would ask before we start thinking about sensors in any particular depth. So really understanding the use patterns and so forth. And it's just it's not hard analysis, but it gives a certain perspective into how we view the product market. That's my little introduction.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Aidan. If you'd like to applaud, absolutely, we would. And now if we could have Stephen. He's going to give us a little demonstration.
Okay. So my name is Steve Zadig. I'm the COO and co-founder of VitalConnect. We're a company located in the Silicon Valley. And, whoops, wrong foils. That's not me. I don't have any foils. Although I do have hundreds at home, but I decided not to bring those and share them with you. What I'm actually going to do with you is share a little bit of my biometric soul with you. This is real-time data that's streaming from our patch via Bluetooth Low Energy to the phone, and I'll talk to that in just a moment. But basically, we're a 2.5-year-old startup that's located in the Silicon Valley. We have more than 40 engineers now working full-time on the development of our biosensing platform. And we are, you know, I've heard so much today about all the synergies, and it's hard for me to even stay on track, so I'm going to have a few notes to do that. But there are a lot of synergies that have been presented here, and a lot of those have to do with building a real platform, okay? We're not just a sensor company, we're a platform company. We need to deliver data efficiently, and so to do so, we've hired a really talented cadre, of which I happen to be the dumbest guy there, and I'm very pleased to say that of engineers that are really looking at putting body-worn sensors on you, and we've elected the patch, right? So we're a patch company. We put those sticky things on your body. But you know, we've completed tens of thousands of hours of field test data for the refinement of our algorithms, and we feel that the quality is absolutely essential. We also are in the process of going into field and clinical trials, both internationally and with prestigious institutions, although we've never done a single press release or to say anything on our website. So we're kind of the quiet guys that are out here trying to build this technology. The company is ISO 13485 certified. We will have our CE mark and 510K clearance this year, so we've paid a lot of attention to that activity. And what I want to talk to you now about is a little bit of our first generation. So you can see my normal resting heart rate is typically about 57. I get to occasionally drive race cars, and it goes up to about 160, and when I'm watching my son drive my car, it's more like about 150, even though I'm on the sidelines. But some of the functions that we do is we show heart rate. If I dial in here, you'll see my real-time ECG. This is very interesting because then if you're wearing the patch, we can communicate dynamically with your physician. If he's alerted that there's an event, he can go back in time and monitor that event because we retain memory on a FIFO basis. We do respiration, we do pedometry, we do posture. If I bend over, the little man should bend over with me here in a second. Yeah, he's about ready. So. We do falls detection. Whoops, yeah, I'm laying down on the job. Little delay there. But the idea here is that we've created a suite of features here, and then we can take those features both on the patch and up in the cloud where we go through a relay. And that relay, which we define as either a phone, which could be iOS, Android, or Microsoft, and that could be a phone that's with you. It could be a persistent relay or something that you wear on your body, or it could be something that you passively plug into the wall. So we have all of these methodologies of getting the data to the cloud, and in the cloud we can do higher level analytics. We measure stress. You can see that I'm maxed out. Normally my stress is about 12. But we also then employ machine learning techniques in the cloud with our algorithms where we fuse these data streams and then can actually determine chronic stress. So we understand your baseline, your range, and then we can show acute stress and then also come back and notify you real time by having your phone vibrate that maybe it's time to get up and take a walk or do some deep breathing exercises, which I won't be successful doing to you right now. But and then also we can then take this data and do precision levels of caloric burn, any number of things. And on our roadmap, we have things like fluid status, we have pulse oximetry, we have gait, and many, many things that we believe can be integrated into these form factors. We've heard also about the consumer market and the sensitivity to cost. And so if you are all dutiful people with aging parents that you want to monitor who want to live out their lives in their homes, we all know that if you can't bring them a product and give them this full comprehensive solution and do it for somewhere under $100 a month, it's a non-starter. So again, we're very, very cost sensitive in our manufacturing and our techniques. And so we look forward to partnering with any and all of you, and including the people at the stage, and hopefully bringing sensor technology to a new level so that it's ubiquitous and available to everyone to use as they see fit. So thanks.
Okay, very good. And our next speaker is Chris Holbert. And he's got some slides, but in the interim, I'd like to continue to monitor his heart rate and see if we can. I think we should have that for all the speakers, actually.
Yeah, I don't feel alone. I know you're all nervous.
We'll see when the Q&A starts up if we can really ask him, pin him down with some hard questions. Please.
In a few minutes, you'll be able to see my heart rate as well. My name is Chris Holbert. Apparently my computer locked up on them. So my name is Chris Holbert. I'm the CEO of SecuraTrac. Me and two others founded the company just over 6 years ago now. What we do is design and build mobile health and mobile safety solutions that improve the safety of family members as well as employees. What we do on the mHealth side is we leverage the technology that Steve just talked about. I'm wearing one of his patches. There might be a couple being passed around the room. You can actually put your fingers on and see what they look like, but they're essentially Band-Aids. On the safety side, mobile safety side, what we do is leverage a number of other pieces of technology that are also sensor-rich. Small devices like this that you might wear on a hip. If you're in a lone worker situation, we focus on 3 markets: healthcare, lone safety of workers, as well as PERS or mobile PERS. David Inns from Great Call talked about their solution for that same thing earlier today. Devices like this carry a number of environmental or non-body worn sensors that interact with the body worn from VitalConnect that we call SecuraPatch. What we do is we bring all this together in solutions that are delivered through our channel partners to the consumer. Okay, so whether you're a large petrochemical or oil and gas business that has thousands of employees that work in dangerous situations alone, and you wear a patch that monitors everything from your heart rate your body position, meaning if you fall, get hit in the head, fall down, it can auto-generate an actionable, meaningful, very convenient alarm that goes to a 24/7 trained call center worldwide that has EMT and EMDs trained to respond to this. They know exactly where you are, how to get to you, what might have happened to you, and they can get you the right help at the right place at the right time. All the way from that to aging in place. A number of our partners sell into that market where seniors, as they age, whether it's in the US or 14 other countries that we operate in, they want to be able to continue to live out their lives safely, comfortably at home, and also when they go out and about. The same technology, again, whether it's something like this, or perhaps it's even integrated with an app on an iPhone or a watch-worn device. Again, Android, iOS, or other platforms can be deployed in a number of those fashions, and then also in healthcare. We take the information, and you can start to see some of it here. It's a consumer version of the portal. That's me. My heart rate's a little better than Steve's at 93 beats per minute, but my normal is about 65, 70. So it's certainly elevated. My respiration seems to be fairly in control, and I'm upright, so that's certainly good. But what's important is we take the information that Steve provides. You saw the ECG coming from the patch. We actually aggregate and summarize that into information that's useful for our target markets. Again, lone worker safety, healthcare, and emergency response. And so we actually then build off of that in our platform. We're integrated in over 120 countries, so it's seamless. You can go anywhere. Israel, Singapore, Canada, the UK, China, it doesn't matter. It works. There's no changes to this device or the patch or anything else. Portal is perfectly secure. All the data is encrypted. We could let you read it, and you wouldn't know what you're looking at, whether it's a person's name or their heart rate. The communication from the devices to the cloud are also encrypted. We're pre-integrated with 85% of the world's emergency response centers by virtue of being integrated with the software that they use to present these alarms and respond to them. So what we do is make these rich information sources about mobile safety and mobile health actionable. We sell those through our partners directly into those three markets. Happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What I'd like to do is we have a lot of expertise on the panel, but out here as well. So if you have a question, raise your hand, and I'd be happy to allow you to kind of direct the discussion and engage with these folks as well today. If you just throw a roll or something, if I'm not looking your way. But there certainly is a tremendous amount of technological change coming. One of the things that you touched on just now, Chris, is the ability to go from geography to geography, and this is a huge breakthrough. If we focus just on the data for a moment, and this is very top of mind for everyone, since now we all know that our calls are being listened to, and the privacy is taking on a new meaning. But there are great concerns still about privacy, and governmental bodies and political groups and regulatory, that world does not move as quickly as we would like sometimes. What are some of the hurdles that we still face, or what are some of the recent breakthroughs in these areas that are allowing us to get much more use from the sensor data that we're deriving?
Well, a lot of the medical companies work in their own closed loop. So rather, they appear fairly reluctant to go out into apps and use phones. I think that'll change over time. But a lot of the dialogue is with bespoke devices that are particular to that, whatever the sensing is. So they're very keen to keep that tight.
Right. Well, HIPAA and the regulations that relate to medical information have always been a very steep barrier. And any other things that, yes?
Yeah, I'll add. I think there's two things. There's the practical, issue around privacy, and then there's the perceptual. And let me give you an example of the perceptual, because I think as we get more and more as an industry into sensors and gathering data off the body, some very intimate, continuous data a number of us all collect. There's at an individual user level, there's a perception, there's a hurdle we have to get over, and let me give you our example. So we started working with a health plan that, I won't say who it is, doesn't matter, but they were offering the BodyMedia device as part of a pre-diabetic program. The insurance company was paying, this is a national insurance company, was paying for the devices, it was a BodyMedia device, BodyMedia terms and conditions, privacy, et cetera. The first person that the device was offered to said no, and when the health coach probed why, it was because this person was concerned, even despite all the privacy and the fact it's a BodyMedia device, BodyMedia servers, not associated, just being offered up by this health plan, that their employer would have access to this very personal data. Now, keep in mind, they're talking to someone at a health plan, right, who has all their physicians, pharmacy, weight, all of that data, right, already in their system that an employer supposedly, as this individual user would if they processed it, think that that information could go to my employer as well. But they put this physiological data or this continuous data or this different kind of data than we're used to collecting in the health arena in a different bucket. And it was a very interesting, we eventually got the user over the hurdle and they took the device and moved on, but it was a pause moment that I think we all have to think about. We can put all the structures in the world, all the privacy statements out there, but at an individual level, people have a philosophical or perceptual hurdle we have to get them over.
Very interesting. My day job, I work for a local company called Websense. It does business-to-business security solutions and software, and so we're very aware. We have a global lab operation that's working on the next generation of cybersecurity, and we see some of the issues that are around that. In that space, we've had moments of pause. I interviewed Deborah Kovsky from the Critical Infrastructure Security Group for Medical, which is part of, I believe it's under Homeland Defense. And I think 2 to 3 years ago, they had a demonstration of someone hacking into an insulin pump and being able to change the dosage, which of course could be fatal. And so there certainly are issues around security, both from a privacy standpoint and from safety and that type of standpoint. One of the areas that you touched on, Chris, was the ability to really separate the signal from the noise and provide relevant data to the party, whether it's a consumer or whether it is a caregiver, whether it's a system of some kind. And so it's very interesting that you're teaming up with a company that is their claim to fame, is being able to separate the signal from the noise in a physiological sense. What do you see as the real breakthroughs in that area? What's happening in terms of interface? And I'd like to invite some of the other speakers as well, but where do you see that?
Jawbones, you think about what they're about. It's about sensors on you and sensors around you and the data analytics that you can start to the insights, not only about your health, but about your lifestyle, because they're more of a lifestyle company that has various verticals, with healthcare being one, or health and wellness, and now we'll add to that kind of set of signals and sensors. But we both have a very strong belief that data dumps aren't good. We gather galvanic skin response and heat flux and GSR off your skin. Nobody wants to know that that's not a meaningful thing. What they want to understand is how well they're sleeping. What caused my blood glucose levels to go high or low at any particular time of the day? Why am I not losing the 3 pounds, this month that I expected to? And so chunking it up into smaller pieces, taking data from multiple places and making sense out of it, timed right and personalized to that individual is where we have to get. Kind of these broad, sweeping statements and insights are not going to do it. And so, I'm really excited about their capabilities, our capabilities, and, how we can start to affect, lifestyle, healthcare, and in the whole environmental space that Jawbone and BodyMedia can occupy.
Okay.
And
Steve, and yes.
I first of all agree with everything that's been said, and you know, this is data being served out of a fire hose, and so to contextualize that data, to make it relevant, you really need to trim it down. And so what we've tried to do is, because we don't understand all these vertical markets, and we don't have the expectation, what we want to make is an infinitely configurable engine that allows you then to capture the data you want, to set it up, to set the thresholds, to parse that data, to take advantage of our cloud-based serving analytics, to give it to you in bytes that you can consume, and then provide those streams to our partners so they, who know their markets best, can parse through that and supply it to their customer base.
Okay. Anything to add to that, Chris?
Yeah, just briefly. So at SecuraTrac, and like any business, you have to know your market, your consumers. To personalize something in a way that's not relevant for them doesn't help, even though you're personalizing information or aggregating, summarizing information. So one of the things that we also do to sort of help with that is allow our customer and their customers to personalize it in the way they want to. Really simply, almost a Google-like interface that allows you to say, I care about this at this level of detail, I don't care about this at all. And you then get that information in bite-sized, actionable chunks delivered in a way you choose, whether it's something familiar to you, text, email, or you log into a portal that's very friendly, or all of the above. So yeah, it's how we need to make sense of this mountain of data. On the other end of it, and it might have been Anand or one of the other earlier speakers today, we also firmly believe that 5 to 7 years from now, for us, there'll be an entirely different business related to pattern recognition and predictive related to what we do as a business. And a lot of that will be based on the health information that we gather over a large base of people. And some of it will be based on their activity and the environmental sensors that we also get relative to the streams of data around their health. But that'll only be important to the extent that we can create patterns that also can be understood simply and digested quickly. If it's just this massive data, then that's what it'll be, a massive data.
Yes. Aidan, you play a role in guiding companies that are in early stage, in many cases, bringing ideas to fruition, bringing technologies to the market. What are, how ideally would a company design this in? How would they do this at a very early stage so that they get a device and a system that's really producing?
The ability to prototype right now at a very sophisticated level is very high. So for them to be able to put together what we'd call a breadboard, some level of mock-up of that shows the intent of a product, and then to test that with the market is easier than it's ever been. And we probably spend more time today working with the user interface side. What a doctor wants to see and what a patient user wants to see are very, very different types of information and levels of information. And so while the clinical side of a particular device can proceed in a fairly orderly manner as per the FDA, I mean, it's a relatively straight shoot if you know what you're doing. The figuring out how that interfaces with the user and making it relevant and actionable and those things is probably where we spend more time today.
And yes.
I was going to say, I think the other thing that's playing in this is partnerships and strategic partnerships. I mean, this isn't just about data analytics off of a BodyMedia device, or this is about taking the things that are really pertinent to people's lives, especially in this case, talking about healthcare, and making sense out of all of those things, simplistically and realistically. And before I came to BodyMedia, I was with Fortune 100 companies and big companies across the globe. And the level of strategic partnerships that I see, when you think about, Jack Young was up here earlier with Qualcomm and what Qualcomm Life is doing with their 2Net platform and trying to break down the barriers that prevent, the end user. They have the end user in mind. It's like, how do we aggregate data from different blood pressure cuffs, glucometers, environmental sensors in the home for an elderly patient that has different communication protocols, get it in one place, put an analytics and a software back or front end to it, and make it simple. Send it to the home, plug in, put it on, you're done. I mean, that's the type of stuff. And it's devices and services from, you know, completely different vendors and suppliers, but it's the solution that that individual needs. And so this isn't just about analytics within a silo. It's an analytics across an ecosystem. And I'm really impressed with, you know, like what Qualcomm is doing to try to, you know, forge change in the, you know, in the healthcare industry with things like that. Because I think there was a, you know, there's a number of barriers that they've knocked down with that TUNet platform.
Very interesting. So it sounds to me in many ways that, you know, we're kind of in a golden age right now of sensor technology and of the hardware really being refined in ways that can be leveraged in multiple paths. We're soon going to be coming into an era where we'll focus much more on how we present that data and make it actionable, and the sensors will continue to evolve, but maybe that won't be where we focus quite as much. One of the things that interests me, and I am interested in your questions as well, so I'll keep scouting. Okay, all right, now I know there are some. Let me come back in just a second. Let me finish this thought. Each of you is looking at parsing that information from these devices for multiple parties, which makes the user interface very challenging because I think each of you has mentioned several different user sets that are quite different. You've got seniors, you've got, even within consumers, we can break that up into many different groups and how they might use that data. And then we've got the professional side. We've got caregivers, we've got entities that, you know, could be employers, it could be payers, and then we've got governments. All of them want something different from these devices, and these devices are, in many cases, are streaming data on a 24/7. It's telemetric, and absolutely volumes of data that are almost impossible, you know, for any human to make sense of. How can you focus on how do you approach feeding this one-to-many type of a business model? Yes, Chris.
Yeah, so I'll just start with two brief things. One is you have to, well, as a smaller company, we have to focus on markets that we understand well and that we believe we can serve properly. That's obvious for everybody, but that's one. Maybe not everyone executes it, I don't know. But two, more importantly, at every layer of the solution, there has to be appropriate ability to personalize either one-to-one or by group. Right, so if you want to push over-the-air updates to devices or sensors, and you have 1,000 people of a certain group that want to receive this personalization, you have to be able to do that. If those sensors are worn, or whether they're carried and they interoperate or not, you have to have them both designed into to effectively distribute this type of change. The same thing with the cloud-based platform, whether it's the BI side of it or analytics side of it, or whether it's the more operational side. So if you design the ability to personalize either one or by group, then it gives you some flexibility to address some of those things going forward.
Okay, so focusing on a key market that you understand well.
Mm-hmm. But those markets will change, right? You may have one large oil and gas consumer that says, between 8 and 5, we're going to collect all this information to keep you safe, but after 5, we will not look at a thing for anything, right? Whereas another group, maybe it's not unionized, it's in a different country, they're going to look at it 24/7 because they're also co-housed in corporate housing, you know, a la sort of manufacturing plants in China, et cetera, where they do care for their employees after the normal business hour. So you need to be able to address both of those at some level.
Yeah. Steve, what's your perspective?
I think that, you know, this is it's a huge, complex ecosystem, and no one size fits all. Nobody can do it all unless they take a very targeted vertical market approach. And even then, there's going to be compromises. We originally thought that we'd go out and help every skilled nursing and assisted living facility in the world, you know, monitor and keep their beds filled, keep people safe, extend their lives, improve the quality. And what we realized was that we just didn't know enough. There was huge diversity in the disbursement of that information. And so we've tried to keep this down to something that we can execute on, which is the development of the sensor, the patch, the technology around that, and then create very friendly, easy to use APIs that bring qualified data up to that person who then takes it to the last, whether it's the last mile or not. Christine talked about Qualcomm and having built their 2Net hub, which is a great device for passive capture of data. I mean, we're not about that. You know, that's not what we're going to do. So you have to do what you can impact. Be excellent at it, because you can't fail there. If you fail, the market's obviously not going to take your product. And then partner. It's all about partnering. This is a very complex problem, and we all just need to figure a way to partner and how we fit in that ecosystem.
I mean, I would just build on our example in diabetes. Nobody in their right mind is going to think BodyMedia can tackle diabetes, but I can put 3 really credible partners at the table, and the consortium together will be able to develop a new solution, and that's, you know, what we're aiming for. So it's about partnerships, having APIs and the tools to feed into a bigger ecosystem.
Okay, partners, very important, as reason why we're all here to a large extent. I saw a question over here. Yes. Go ahead. Oh.
I'm in the wireless space. We're a distributor of technology, including Jawbone. And my space is more, my question is more for the consumer end. So if I'm no longer a patient in my doctor's office, if this product is sitting on a shelf, how do you bridge the gap so that somebody will understand it, buy it, and use it outside of medical realm?
Well, I think the marriage of BodyMedia and Jawbone is going to try to accomplish that. You know, they're very good at the consumer end of it, and we're very good at the more professionally professionally integrated end of it. And so together, you know, our goal is to have a platform of hardware that, you know, if you, and Jawbone would tell you this, I mean, if you look at their advertising and things like that, it's more about the casual person, the person who hasn't necessarily thought about, you know, being healthy or doing something, taking their first steps. BodyMedia is a very serious solution. You've tried other things, you're working with a partner, a doctor, a health coach, and a health plan, and we've built our business model around that. And so, you know, the goal is to build an experience that will engage a consumer across the course of their lifetime, right? So today it might be weight, next month it might be hypertension, next year it might be sleep issues. Well, guess what? We've got a hardware platform and a suite of applications and partnerships that can help you deal with a number of different things once you came into it in one vertical.
Aidan, do you see a pattern of products that have failed on the shelf, that have passed every hurdle and then died on the shelf?
Yes, a fairly painful one. I think an awful lot of it goes to the business strategy, understanding the user. The other failure I would say we see a great deal is, well, not a great deal, but is not understanding how long the road is to market. And particularly, I mean, the choices you've got to make about whether you're making claims or not making claims, if you've got to take something through a significant level of rigor with the FDA, just making sure you've put that into your business plan and you're banking for it. And there's an awful lot of failures to take off, which, you know, is part of the problem. And then once you've taken off, you've got a whole nother set of. So it's a tough, fun market, but a tough.
It is fun. We're all having fun. That's the important thing. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I'm with Somnoware. We provide an integrated software platform for managing patients with sleep apnea. So I have 2 questions. For data collection, we have several stakeholders, patients or consumers, clinicians, manufacturers of devices or sensors. So the question is, who owns the data? Who has the right to share the data? That's my question number 1. Number 2 is regarding the 2Net hub that Chris brought up. So who is positioned best to build an ecosystem that will take care of a condition? Is it a manufacturer? Is it a platform vendor that's device agnostic? Who is it, in your perspective?
Let's start with the second question first, because that one was harder for me to understand.
Well, I think they're. I got to think about who they've made public. You know, they're bringing in a number of partners into the platform. You know, obviously they have the in-feeds, right, through labs and devices and things like that, and then they've got you know, the data aggregation piece, and they're starting to work with health plans. Oh, I know the one they made public is WebMD, Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. You know, WebMD has a reach. I mean, people go to WebMD because they want to feel self-empowered. And so they have some partnerships and some product solutions they're partnering with WebMD to develop. That's probably all I can say, because I know we're part of that partnership, so I can't say anything more about it. But you know, that will help kind of pull the devices, the data, the analytics through the TueNet platform into a software application that's very digestible and very focused on various, you know, target populations that WebMD is really good at. So now WebMD has a platform to explain it's not just about content anymore, right? How they can personalize and bring better behavior change around the data.
Okay. And let's talk about the heart monitor application. Who owns the data?
Well, from our perspective, it's always the end user that owns that data. You know, certainly we're, you know, fully HIPAA compliant, and everything that we do is encrypted. We actually treat the client as a GUID, so we never know their ID because, again, we're partnership driven. So for us, it's just the problem that we have, and the reason that we're HIPAA compliant is, even though we might be, in some cases, a business associate, we may be able to, by circuitous route, know who that device got mailed to, you know, their reusable patch, et cetera. So, but basically when it gets up into the data system, then it's completely hidden from us and just data streams. So I think it's a really tough problem that we're all trying to deal with right now and understand where it's going to go. But from our perspective, it's always the end user that owns the data.
So the model is that the end user owns that data, and they may assign rights to that data to their physician or to
opt in. They may elect to do many different things, but unless they do so, then that data is absolutely theirs.
Okay. All right, very good. We have time for maybe one or two more questions, maybe from the sides of the room. Anybody? Yes, sir. I'm trying to get some exercise for him. We don't have a heart rate monitor on here. I'm trying to make him run from side to side. So.
Again, thank you for spending the time to educate us today. I'm a practicing physician, and you know, we have all sorts of monitors in the ICU, and we use them sometimes. There's a lot of data, but we don't necessarily use them. So that brought to my mind the question about what, either experienced or imagined, do you think are the 3 top challenges in getting primary care physicians involved and engaged and interested in this kind of product?
Okay. 3, so collectively, we need 3 challenges. Let's, challenge number 1.
Data overload. Too much data. Yeah, that's number 1.
Well, physicians are analytical machines. They can certainly process far more than a mere mortal could.
Well, but a guy who's, you know, got 60 patients a day, he just doesn't have a lot of time. He needs it very summarized. It needs to be obviously relevant to what he's looking at. And the fear is that when somebody puts on a patch, he just has so much data he can't deal with it. We want to address that by giving him very precise summaries. But
yeah, the corollary, whether it's number 2 or 1B, is so how do you summarize it so that it becomes something that's relevant and directly useful? The one I would add that's separate from this is the practice of applying a patch in this case and using it, whatever the endpoint is they're using, whether it's a mobile or a computer device, is very different in some cases than what they do today. So the pattern of behavior changes quite a bit.
Okay.
I think another barrier challenge is credibility and believability. You know, physicians are trained in medical school to get certain data a certain way with certain devices, and technology and startups and innovation is really pervasive. And so, you know, thinking about getting heart rate off a patch isn't something they learned about in medical school. So they have to believe that that's credible and it's matches the same standards and outputs that what they have come to believe, what their truths are, is important. And I think that's another hurdle that everyone's going to have to come over.
Okay. Aidan, can you put a capstone on that for us? What are the challenges, not just for maybe physicians, but for getting this data to become actionable and having make a difference?
I totally agree with the first 3. I think that in the physician's world, there is still a desire for the touch side of it, and that The data itself, it can be overloaded and so forth, but taking that personal, that they have to trust something now that is coming to them that they haven't necessarily seen. And so in the ICU and in the OR, there is a great deal of effort to try and consolidate data down into useful chunks, particularly as there's a proliferation of more things that can do cooler stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that inherently physicians trust their hands and their eyes and so forth. And so there is a cultural shift going on as well.
Okay, very good. I'm afraid we're practically out of time. Can we bring up the heart rate monitor once more and see how our patient is doing? Yeah. He is much more relaxed as a result of this, so I hope you feel that way too. I'd like to thank everybody here so much.
Very cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much. So it's lunchtime, and I just had a little sampling, sorry, but yum. And anyway, we're going to take a break for lunch. Please visit all of our expo partners that are out there. One other quick note, and really cool, we were featured this morning on ABC News San Diego. So really, really cool, very exciting. They're recognizing digital health. Who would have thought, right? Very cool. Thank you.